Hello everyone, I'm Cynthia, the creator of Gaia's Medicine, and today I'm here to talk about intuitive health readings. Last week sometime I put out a post asking what everybody wanted to hear about, and intuitive health reading examples was one of the things that people asked about. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what an intuitive health reading is first, because I know it can be kind of confusing because there aren't a lot of people that do this. So let me explain what it is first, and then we'll talk about some of the things that people have received from my intuitive health readings, some of their expectations and how they were met after the intuitive health reading, and then how they were able to maybe shift their beliefs after an intuitive health reading with me. So first, let's just talk about what it is. So it is basically a combination of a psychic reading and an intuitive health coaching consultation, if you will. So basically, I'm a psychic and I have the ability to feel another person's blocks in my own body. Now, I specifically asked to be shown the top 2 blocks to someone's health because I'm a health coach and that's what I know. And so when I started doing these readings, I decided that I wanted to help people with their health because that's what I'm so interested in, have done for myself, that I thought that that was the most important thing. That's not to say that I can't read on relationships or business or other things. I just choose to read for health because that's what's important to me. So I've been connecting with other people's energy my whole life unintentionally. And a few years back, I decided that if I was going to have this strange and unique ability to do this, that I might as well hone it and use it for good. So that's what I learned to do, and that's what I decided to do. When I first started out doing psychic readings, I would just read for people. I wasn't doing this sort of body scan thing that I do now. And as I went along, I realized that just how much I could feel somebody else's blocks in my body, and that I could ask the question to be shown their major blocks to healing. And so that's what I do. In an intuitive health reading, the very first thing that I do is we ground and we protect. So we ground down and we go get the light from above and we bring it together and let it mix, and then we cast a white circle of protection, and then we basically say only love enters here, only love is allowed here. We don't let any negative energies into the reading, basically. Once I've done that, then I ask the person who I'm reading for to think of a couple of questions that they have in mind for the reading. And while they're doing that, I'm going to close my eyes and be silent and go and do a scan of my body, which is going to allow me to feel the blocks in their body. Now, oftentimes people will say that yes, they feel those blocks in their body too. Once I'm done with the scan, I'll tell them what came up, and it's usually just the top 2, and then once we get through those 2, if we have time, we can go into other blocks. But it's usually just the top 2 to start with, and I will tell them what I felt, where it was in my body, kind of the feeling of it. Like, was it hard, soft? Is it a block? Is it sometimes I'll get like central nervous system stuff where I can feel basically something's gone wrong there. Maybe you're having some neurological issues, that sort of thing. And then after we talk about it, and sometimes when I tell them what I feel, they don't feel anything. They say, no, I don't have that pain there. Generally what happens is some people are more sensitive than others. So sometimes people are very aware of the problem, and sometimes people aren't aware at all. And it's about 60-40, I would say. Usually 60% of the people feel what I feel, and about 40% of the people say, no, I haven't felt that before. But what usually ends up happening is we'll find something and we'll do a little bit of work on it, and then the next day something will pop up and they'll be like, you know what, that pain that we talked about, I actually had it the next day after we did some work on it. So for instance, I found something in someone's intestine area, and I did a little massage and then cleared it out, and then we did some energy pulling. And the next day she said, you know what, I had a pain right in that same spot that we were talking about, and I had some shingles come up, which is a healing reaction that happens when you start messing around with the viruses and the bacteria that are in the body. and that sort of thing can happen. So that's just an example of, somebody not feeling something in their body, but it's actually there. And it just happens because not everybody is as sensitive as I am. And sometimes people are sensitive, a little bit sensitive, but not a ton. Or some people that are like completely blocked because something in their life has caused them to block their ability to feel their body. Sometimes it's childhood trauma, sometimes it's PTSD, from something that happened when they were older. But sometimes people are just really closed off. And that's okay, because it doesn't really matter if you're closed off or not. When I'm reading, I can still feel it. So that's the important part. So once I do this body scan, we talk about the things, we talk about what may be causing that block. Sometimes they're emotional blocks. So sometimes we'll start a health reading and we'll wind up going down this emotional path about like something that happened in their childhood or something they're stressing out about for the last couple of months. Maybe it's money, maybe it's their business. So sometimes it feels really unrelated to their health, but in reality, it's not. Because remember, we're a whole person, and everything that happens in our life changes what's going on in our body, which is, the environment that we're living in. So, so sometimes it's really health related, where it's like, someone had heavy metals in their brain. And so I could literally feel when I brushed my hand over the side of this side of my head, I could feel this tingling coming up. And that was due to heavy metals in the brain. And so it's really interesting what comes up, and it's always different. I've never read a person that had the same thing as anybody else I've read. It's literally always different. And it's unique to you, right? So it's probably gonna resonate with something that you already know about. A lot of times I'll pick up blocks that people are familiar with. Like sometimes in the thyroid, people will say, oh yeah, I've had thyroid troubles, or I have thyroid nodules or something like that. Or sometimes it'll be in the uterus and somebody will say, oh, I had fibroids or something like that. So it's pretty common for me to pick up on the things that people already know about, but it's also pretty common for me to pick up on things that people aren't aware of just yet. And so that's one of the things that can be really super helpful for people, is when it's something that they don't know anything about and they're like, wow, I didn't know that was there. Thank you for pointing it out, and thank you for helping me release it. Because if it's an emotional block, sometimes we can work through it, because sometimes your body just needs to recognize that it's there. And if you didn't recognize it was there, then your body's going to keep giving you that pain to point out, hey, look at me, look at me. And then once it's looked at and you understand where it came from, which we can do through asking a series of questions of your body and getting answers, then it's really helpful, because then you can choose to release it at that point. And if it's an energetic block, like something like an emotion that you had years ago that's somehow stuck in your body because something happened that was traumatic and you got frightened, or really super sad about something, sometimes it'll leave like an energetic block in your body. And I can clear those things generally at the time of the reading. So I can do some energy pulling. We can clear chakras. We can, after we pull, we tend to fill with light and heal things over. So, we don't ever want to leave, if I do some pulling, we don't ever want to leave a hole there. We want to fill it in with the proper light and healing over the top. So those are just some things that we do in an intuitive health reading. And I would love to know what your questions are. If you have additional questions, I'm happy to answer them. So please just put them in the comments of wherever you're watching this video, and I will come back and answer the questions. But now I just want to go into a couple of things that I have here. So I have a feedback form, and when I do a reading for someone, I ask them to fill out a feedback form, and that's where all of this came from that I'm going to share with you now. So one of the questions that I ask, the very first question that I ask, is, what did you receive from this intuitive reading? And I've gotten answers like new ideas and techniques. That's actually a pretty common one, new ideas. Insights on what emotions are showing up and need attention right now. a lot of times people don't even realize that they're blocking certain emotions because they're so used to just pushing it down and pushing it away that they don't realize it's stuck in there and it needs to move. So that's a key one that happens a lot, and it's totally related to health. Clarity and confidence on my path forward. That's a pretty big one. I find that people get so confused sometimes in their head. They're just thinking all these thoughts and they can't make them stop. And it's like 20,000 thoughts a day or something, right? And they become so confused because they've had so many thoughts. They don't have clarity on which direction to go anymore. And so this really helps them because what I read is usually whatever's the most important thing for them. And so when I confirm that that's the most important thing for them, it gives them the clarity that they need to move forward. And so I find that that's really helpful for most people. This person said that their throat chakra was blocked, and we did an energetic clearing. I did some pulling, and I brought in some healing light and then healed it over. And they said that they felt greater ease in expressing themselves after our reading. So the throat chakra is really it's the chakra that controls your expression. So if you're blocked there, you're having trouble expressing yourself with your your significant other or your children or even your clients. This is a big deal, and it can really affect your health as well, right? Because your throat chakra also contains your thyroid. And so when you've got a block there, you definitely have trouble with expressing yourself, number one, but then all the other things that happen when our thyroid gets out of whack, right? I'm sure you're super familiar with health-wise, all those things. So yeah, I mean, when we can clear that, it's awesome, and people feel relief immediately. This person said they had a lighter feeling chest and a new perspective on their alignment. So a lot of times, and this happens for me too, I carry a lot of my emotions in my chest, but this is actually quite common. I find that, I don't know, maybe 65% of the people that I've done readings for have some sort of blockage between here and their heart. So it's between their throat and their chest area. And that's because, we filter things through our heart a lot. A lot of people do that. And so, yeah, I mean, just going into those emotions and talking through them and clearing them out energetically, like me doing some pulling for them, can really help to make them feel lighter, like this person. Another person said I gave them ideas on how to move forward with the project. So again, moving forward is a big deal. I think a lot of people health-wise don't know what to do next because they've seen so many doctors and they haven't gotten any answers. They've had a bunch of tests done and every doctor says, no, you're fine. And they don't know how to move forward because they've tried all these things and they don't know what to do next. And that's where my health knowledge really comes in handy, because I actually know what to do next. So it's not just a reading. I actually have all of my health knowledge to fall back on. And so it's the beginning is more of a reading, and the second half of it turns more into a coaching session, what you can do to help your health specifically, including emotional release techniques that I teach people, and how to connect to their inner being so that they can get their own clarity, and so that they don't have to keep coming back to me, right? Because I'm not I don't want people to have to keep coming back to me. The point is to get them enough clarity that they can move forward and they don't need me anymore. They can move forward on their own. And, if they come back to me with health questions like, hey, I tried this and now this is happening, what do I do now? That's where we want to get to, the point where they're working through those health struggles and they're moving forward, baby steps, right? A little step at a time. This next person said she received 3 life-changing aha moments in one reading. That is astounding. And I just love her, and I'm so glad that she put this in here, because sometimes you do a reading for someone and you think, yeah, that's really great, but until you get the feedback that, like, oh my gosh, 3 life-changing aha moments, that's amazing. Even for me to hear, just like, oh, I'm so glad that I could do that for you. I'm so glad that I could help you in that way. So that was really great. And then validation, insight, clarity, and direction, and guidance. So validation is really important because, like I said before, people aren't sure if they're going in the right direction sometimes, you know, with their health especially. And so what they'll generally have is, should I do this or this? And when there's two paths, what I can do is I can it's basically a way of picturing you going down both paths, and then I can feel in my body which path is more beneficial for you, because there will either be an opening, like, yes, opening means yes, this is a good path for you, and sometimes I can get specifics about it, like details about it, and then closing would be, no, this is not a good path for you, you won't be happy if you go down that path. So if you have a choice that you need to make, I can generally help you pick between one or the other based on how it feels in your body, based on the feeling that I get, either the open or the close, when I ask your body the question. So this whole time I'm just talking to your body. My inner being is connecting with your inner being, and we're asking questions of your body. Sometimes they're yes or no questions, but sometimes they're more in depth than that. I like to start with yes or no questions because they're a little bit easier, but yeah, they can be really in depth, and we can get a lot of information just by asking your body the questions. Okay, so the next question that I ask people is, did you experience a shift in your beliefs as a result of this reading? And I had quite a few people that said their beliefs shifted, which is huge, right? Because at the end of the day, your actions don't change if your beliefs don't change. And so the whole point of having your reading done is to get clarity and then to change what's wrong. And the way you change that is by shifting your beliefs. So this is huge, and I think it's really great that people are getting this result when I'm doing readings for them. I'm so excited about it. So this person said they were blocking their inner guides and they didn't realize it. And so now they have much more openness than before. So they're able to connect to their own inner being or their own guides and get answers for themselves. So like I said, they don't have to keep coming back to me. They can start talking to their body on a daily basis and getting their own answers. And that's huge, right? Because what we want to do, the very first step in my healing process, is learning how to listen to your body and your intuition. And there's a reason it's the first step, because it is the most important, because I can't be there for you every single day unless, you know, we're doing one-on-one coaching and you've got like a Voxer package or something and you're able to send me messages every day, which is possible. I do that. But if you didn't want to do that and you want to help yourself, being able to connect and ask questions of your own body is really, really important. So that's a huge shift for this person. Let's see. Gave somebody else quite a lot to contemplate. So I am the queen of contemplation. My human design says I was literally built for contemplation, so that's what I do. I love it, and I'm often a catalyst for other people's contemplation. So that's a good one, because contemplation leads to either a strengthening of your beliefs or a change in your beliefs, and it can be one or the other. But when you actually stop and think about the beliefs that you have and what you've been doing in your life and how it's working out for you, it makes it really easy for you to either solidify that belief, like, yes, I'm right, this is good, I'm going in the right direction, or no, this belief is not helpful, I don't want it anymore, I'm going to get rid of it. And then once you look at it and you make that choice, then you can change it. This person said I gave them a glimpse of what might be possible. So they were having, some mindset blocks and some limitations that they had put on themselves. And so just giving them a glimpse of what might be possible really helped them to move forward and understand that, like, you can heal. It's possible to heal. Because I think a lot of people that I work with, especially chronic fatigue people, they lose hope because they don't have any energy to do anything. And when you don't have energy, it's really hard to fight. It's really, really hard to fight. And at the end of the day, if we're going to heal, we need to be fighters. We need to fight for our health. We need to fight for our life. We need to fight for support. We need to fight for validation. We need to fight for all the things. So that's why my group is called the Warriors Network. By the way, if you haven't joined it, I have a free Facebook group called the Warriors Network. Go check that out. Join it today, because that's where we talk about all this stuff. The other belief, what I will eat will have an effect on my body and how I feel. So I think a lot of people who come to me haven't quite understood what they're eating and how it's affecting their body. They just think that you know, for standard reasons, people say, oh, don't eat gluten because there's too many carbs, or oh, don't eat sugar because it's gonna give you diabetes, right? So people have a general idea of what to eat and what not to eat, but sometimes it's wrong. Like sugar, for instance, people tend to lump in fruit with sugar. And fruit is not a processed sugar. It has glucose in it, yes, but it's the glucose that your body needs, and it's in the exact preparation and form your body needs it in. So when you are talking about eating a donut or a piece of cake or something like that, it is not the same thing as eating sugar. Fruit sugar is not going to kill you. It's not going to harm you. In fact, it's going to heal you. And so a lot of people have beliefs that they've picked up along the way that they don't quite understand, and they don't realize how it's harming them or their ability to heal. So just giving somebody a new belief around fruit is amazing. Giving someone a new belief around eggs is amazing, right? Most people think that eggs are super nutritious for us, and it's true, they used to be, but now what they do in our bodies is they feed the viruses and the bacteria that we're fighting so hard to get rid of. And the more eggs we eat, the more we feed them, and the worse off we are. So changing those kind of beliefs are really helpful, and we do this in intuitive health readings. Like I said, I'm a health coach, so I also have a lot of information around what people should and shouldn't eat and how it affects their body and how they can change what they eat in order to heal. So this is something that we do cover. And like I said, the second half of the reading is always more of a coaching session around their health and their habits and their specific things that they're struggling with. And we usually come up with a plan. So it's like, it can be anywhere from 3 to 5 steps, a plan of action that they're going to take in order to get from where they are now to where they want to be. And so that's sort of the main thing that you're going to walk away with from an intuitive health reading with me, is this plan of action. Okay, I got all this insight and this clarity and this validation, but now I've got this plan of action that I'm walking away with. It's super important. So like I said, anywhere from 3 to 5 steps on what you're going to do next in order to heal. This person said it hadn't occurred to them to forgive themselves for a particular situation. And that's so important when we've got something that's sort of like stuck in our body that we don't even realize is stuck there. And particularly when it's causing problems, right? Because you might be upset over a situation, you might know it's a problem, but you might not necessarily know what's keeping it there. And in this case, what was keeping it there for her was she hadn't forgiven herself for something, for a particular situation. So just being able to forgive herself was really helpful for her in moving forward. This person says they realized where their fears were hiding. That's huge. Like I said, people like to stuff down their emotions. They like to run from them. They like to numb themselves so they don't feel them. And a lot of people do that with food. A lot of people numb their emotions with food, and that's when we start eating stuff we know we shouldn't be eating, or that we know is not helpful for our body. So it's really, really important to find those fears, because that can be the key to you eating healthy or you not eating healthy. Like that can make all the difference in the world, is finding out where your fears are hiding and then being able to deal with them so that you're no longer running from them and not using food to hide them. This person said that the answers soothe their soul. And I just love that. I mean, just the words just feel soothing to my soul. So I had to share that one with you. And the last person said, yes, more awareness is what they also received. Okay, one more. The last question is, how did the actual reading align with your initial expectations? And I thought the answers here were so fun. This first one, things I've been thinking about but said to no one. The alignment was spot on. The reading's alignment was spot on. So I love it when this happens, when somebody has been thinking about something for years and they haven't told anyone about it, and they know that nobody else knows about it but them, and then I bring it up And they're like, oh my God, how did you know? It's so much fun. It's it's so much fun when people are open enough for me to find those things, because not everyone is open enough for me to read that. I think a lot of people aren't necessarily comfortable with readings, and so they try to hide things. And when you try to hide things, it makes it really hard for someone like me to read you, because you can shield. People can shield their emotions. They can shield their blocks even. Um, I know because I can do it because I can shield myself really well. In fact, I can make myself pretty much invisible if I want to. So, um, yeah, people know how to do that. And some people do it unintentionally, right? When there's fear, we do it unintentionally. And that's actually how I learned it, was fear. I grew up in fear of just about everything. I was afraid of everything. My whole life, I was afraid of everything. And yeah, I learned how to shield myself. So, this person says they were expecting helpful information and insights, but what they came away with was much greater insights and more helpful information than I could have imagined. So basically just kind of over and above what the expectation was. This person said they found it really natural and it had a warmth and an ease to the reading. I get that a lot. I'm actually a very calm person. I bring serenity. That's the energy that I'm here to bring to the earth. And I'm not a very excitable person. So when people watch me, sometimes they think like, oh, she doesn't have any energy. And it's not that I don't have any energy. It's just my personality, and what I bring to the world is literally serenity. So I am very calm, and you will feel very calm and peaceful and at home in your reading. Okay, the next person said they were surprised by the fresh ideas and my ability to help them push beyond their own limitations, and that felt exciting. So, yeah, just helping someone go beyond their limitations is important, right? Because that's where we're getting stuck. We have these limiting beliefs for ourselves. We have things that we think we can't do. And then in a reading, that might be something where I might raise the question, well, why can't you do that? Or why aren't you doing that? And how can we get around it? For some people, it's exercise, right? Because our health is tied to the movement of our body. And a lot of people get stuck around the word exercise. In fact, I did a whole video on how much I hate the word exercise. Because as someone who's struggled with fatigue and had chronic and neurological fatigue and been on Mattress Island, exercise is not something that you have energy to do. You just don't. And so, yeah, in order to kind of get around your limiting beliefs, you have to look at things a little bit differently. And that's what I can provide for people, like showing them that it doesn't necessarily have to be what you might think exercise is. It can just be, jumping on a rebounder, or going out in your garden, pulling weeds, or playing with your kids, right? Like, and it can be small exercise. It could be a walk. It could be, just standing outside in nature and meditating with the trees, if that's all you can do at this particular time, just getting some sun on your face, moving from your bed outside. Sometimes that's all we can do. And sometimes we can hike up the tallest mountain, right? But finding those limitations that people have and really pointing them out and helping them change that is a big part of what I do as well. This person says they thought it would be more about health, but it shifted perfectly. So this is something that I wanted to mention, because oftentimes what people don't realize is blocking them is not necessarily tied to the way they're eating or their environmental toxins. A lot of times it's around emotional health and stress that they're dealing with, because the stress that you feel on a daily basis, if it's perpetual, can really have a huge effect on your adrenals, and it can really tax them and just cause all kinds of crazy stuff. So sometimes we start out as a health reading and then we wind up going into all these emotions. And sometimes people are shocked by that, because they're like, oh, I thought we were just going to talk about my health. But they don't realize how interconnected they all are and how important it is to deal with the emotions around your health as well. So that's why I wanted to mention that one. This person said better than expected, very calming, above and beyond. excellent, informative, dug deep, didn't just surface level read. So that's important too, right? There are a lot of people who do readings, and people who are more general in readings, they tend to kind of stay on the surface level because they try to do a bunch of different things at once. You know, they might answer 3 different questions for someone, but they're all pertaining to different things. And when you do that, it's hard to dig really deep into the problems that people are having. And so that's one of the reasons that I stick with Just Health, because not only because that's where I have a lot of experience in, but what I'm interested in, and I know how to dig deep, right? So if we find a pain in your body and you say, oh, I don't know that pain, I haven't felt that before, then immediately I don't just say, oh, really? Okay, I must be wrong, because it's never that. It's usually, oh, okay, let's go into it. Let's dig a little deeper and see what it's about. And generally, sometimes on the second level, but generally by the third level, you will understand what that pain is about, because we'll keep asking questions of your body until we get to the thing that it's about. Because your body in general, in order to release, wants you to know what it's about. So if I just cleared it and you never knew what it was about, it might come back like the next day, because you need to understand what the block was doing there to begin with in order to actually intentionally fully release it from your body. So that's a really good point. So those are the things that people have said about my intuitive health readings and how I've helped them. So I hope that gives you a better idea of what my intuitive health readings are like, how they can help you. And if you're interested in having an intuitive health reading done, I will put the link to schedule that just below this video, wherever you're watching it, because I'm sure it'll go in many different places. So I hope that was helpful. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to send me a private message or post it in the comments below. However you prefer. I'm always up for talking about intuitive health readings because I love them so much. They're a key part of my business. It really helps people to get clear and understand what's going on in their body before we start diving into the healing process. It really helps. So, and every one-on-one coaching package that I do starts with an intuitive health reading. And even my all-day energy package, the 6-week workshop, even that starts with an intuitive health reading. So we always start with that. It's the best place to start. All right, I will see y'all later. Bye.